and Nipashe newspapers are now available on your mobile device. This service provides the most competitive rates ever, convenient availability wherever you are, anytime. Easy payment modes: Tigo Pesa, M-Pesa, Airtel Money, Visa card or MasterCard. Daily purchases of periodic subscription or even better discounted rates. Ability to manage your own digital library. Available on epaper.ippmedia.com. Also available on M-Paper, Sim Gazzetti and Dondosha apps. To access, go to Google Play Store or iStore and download the apps to start enjoying the services for 300 shillings only. Reliable news at your fingertips. Terms and conditions apply.
Capital News tonight. President Magufuli meets with Barrick-Gold CEO. In international, President Kenyatta joins opinion poll debate on changing the constitution of Kenya. And in sports, Yanga beats Mbao FC 2-1 at CCM Kirumba Stadium. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Khadija Zimbwe. First, the national news. The President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli, has today met and held talks with the Chief Executive Officer of Barrick-Gold from Africa and the Middle East, Dr. William Jacobs, in State House, Dar es Salaam. After their discussions, Dr. Jacobs, who was with Barrick-Gold advisors, said that they met with President Magufuli so as to ensure that the agreements made on the 19th of October 2017 are fully implemented, especially after South African mining company Rand Gold merged with Barrick-Gold Corporation in ownership, investment and management.
A framework agreement to where we are. So there's no difference to the agreement that was announced between the President and John Thornton in 2017. It's just the million pieces of flesh that was put around the bones, so no difference at all. But it is a confirmation of the many details that had to be discussed and had to be agreed to get there. So there's no difference in the framework. Philosophically, our orientation has always been that a national asset has to be managed in a way that all stakeholders benefit in a maximum way from it, not one at the expense of the other.
Mwisho wa mwaka jana kampuni ya Barrick Gold Corporation na kampuni ya Rand Gold ya Afrika Kusini ambayo wana migodi ya madini.
Towards the end of last year, Barrick Gold Corporation and Rand Gold from South Africa, who have gold mines in DRC, Senegal and Mali, have merged and now has a new management. And with this merger, these discussions have had a new optimism because now we are speaking with two companies that have merged. What was agreed in October 2017 will stay the same. For instance, the 50-50 profit sharing, formation of new operating company, and everything else that we discussed have been approved.
Makubaliano yote yale tuliyokubaliana Oktoba mwaka 2017 yamebaki kama yalivyo.
The Kisutu Resident Magistrate Court has been unable to continue to hear arguments in the money laundering case and being in possession of wealth that exceeds his income, which is facing the former chief accountant of the PCCB, Godfrey Gugai, due to a delay in the granting of permission to call for witnesses from the various regions. The senior state prosecutor, Vitalis Peter, made those remarks before the resident chief magistrate Thomas Simba, stating that the case had been brought to the Kisutu court in order for it to move forward. Peter claimed that they have asked for permission to call for witnesses from the regions, but they only received information which is saying that the permission had already been granted on February 20th this year. The defense team's lawyer, Alex Mgongola, has requested the prosecution to give the names of the witnesses that it plans to bring in order for a thorough assessment to be carried out of them. While giving his reply to their argument, the prosecutor Vitalis Peter claimed that it is impossible for the state to name all of its witnesses. Nevertheless, prosecutor Vitalis Peter asked the court to record that 3 witnesses come from Mwanza, while another one comes from Musoma. Following that explanation, Magistrate Simba called upon the defense to ensure that it brings witnesses in order for the case to be able to proceed. Magistrate Simba adjourned the case to March 4th and 16th this year, which is when the prosecution will present its witnesses and evidence. 6 witnesses from the prosecution have already proved their statements, including the deeds registrar from the Ministry of Land, Housing and Human Settlement Development, Joanita Kazinja. Apart from Gugai, the other accused in the case include George Makaranga, Leonard Alois and Yasin Katera. Now, moving on, the government has rescinded its decision with which they gave 3 days ago, which stated that only those who do not produce sugar should order sugar from out of the country. Now, allowing the local factories to purchase additional sugar from out of the country, the Minister of Agriculture, Jafet Hasunga, said that the government reached the decision after sitting down with factory owners and reaching an agreement on certain matters, especially on the state of production of sugar in the country and how to order additional sugar.
Ndio maana tulipokuwa tunafikiri kwamba labda tuwape wafanyabiashara wengine, kwa sababu toka mwaka jana kama nilivyosema ndio utaratibu tuliotumia.
We had thought of allowing other businesses. They were involved in various discussions. That is why with the new changes, I had to clarify certain points. But they are capable of meeting the local demand. And if there is any luck, we want them to be the ones to fill it. They know exactly how much sugar is needed.
Sisi kama nchi tumewapa lengo letu. Tunahitaji tani kadhaa za sukari ziwepo nchini. Ziwe zimezalishwa ndani.
The Ministry of Minerals has shut down a gold processing company, Lugalawa Processing Limited, at Noli in Bahi District, Dodoma region, and detained its leaders for questioning after providing a permit that had issued to a client which does not show where they got the carbon to process the gold. Now, Dodoma Region Minerals Officer Jonas Mwano shut down the factory during his sudden inspection visit at the mine after receiving information from the mine officials, where he discovered deceptive reports which satisfied him of the factory's leadership working against the law.
A couple of days back, they applied to be issued with a new permit. But after receiving a new one, no details were disclosed to my office. We ask you to advise your clients to obey the laws and regulations. The level of air pollution is toxic. They've definitely gone against the set regulations on mining. Records must be kept on how much is extracted.
The appointed committee of the Council of Representatives that was investigating the construction of 19 government schools has discovered embezzlement and major violations of construction contracts for the schools, including one contractor receiving the tender of 8 schools and a consultant receiving 18 schools at one time.
Kumekuwa na matumizi ya rasilimali fedha ambayo hayafahamiki.
There has been some unaccounted expenditure which may have hindered the progress. The committee has found out that payments were made in US dollars to Ministry of Education and Peace Studies, and payments were also made to individuals. This was from money set aside for the construction of a school. It is important that government heads must stop using projects to serve self-interests.
Pesa hizo zilitokana na ujenzi wa majengo ya skuli uliokuwa unaendelea kwa wakati huo.
305 nets worth over 127 million shillings have been caught and burnt during Operation Nile Perch in Lake Victoria, with some of the accused being residents of neighboring countries. When leading the operation, Kigoma District Commissioner Samson Anga warned fishermen and entrepreneurs of nets that the government will continue to prevent and take the necessary action to stop the use of illegal nets.
I would like to say that even though we had called upon fishermen not to engage in illegal fishing, I am making this call again to all fishermen to stop engaging in this illegal practice. I must mention that we all agree that illegal fishing poses a serious threat to the future of fishing in this area. Among other effects, I must point out that illegal fishing not only harms the little fishes, but it also destroys the capacity of the fish to reproduce. Therefore, I would like to urge all fishermen once again to stop engaging in illegal fishing. I would like to say that it is our plan to ensure that illegal fishing nets are no longer used in this Lake Tanganyika area. So in order for this goal to be achieved, I must mention that we intend to keep capturing anyone who uses illegal fishing nets. I would like to add that as part of our efforts to stop the usage of illegal fishing nets in this Lake Tanganyika area, we intend to improve the way in which we get information, for example.
Residents of Magazini ward in Namtumbo District, Ruvuma region have requested the government to speed up the construction of a road that will link Namtumbo District to Tunduru in the region, a road which will have a distance of 300 kilometers. According to the residents' request, this 300 kilometers long road will begin from Mtwara Pachani to Tunduru in order for the enormous frustration which they have been getting to cease.
The road is not tarmacked. In rain season, it can take as long as 2 weeks for the road to be passable again. Since the world began, this road has never had any repair work done. The little improvement has been the work of local citizens. I would like to assure everyone that this problem will be solved. Our president has given us 2.55 billion shillings for the construction.
Now, the Minister of Energy, Dr. Medad Kalemani, has instructed TANESCO to ensure that it installs electricity for the residents of more than 60 villages in the country every day. Minister Dr. Kalemani assured TANESCO that the government has purchased enough machinery for the job to be successfully done. The Minister of Energy also noted that priority should be given to prisons and state institutions so as to speed up the setting up of all small industries which process agricultural produce or crops.
To all, it doesn't matter what political affiliation one is. This is why we are supplying the prisons too. In having been supplied with the electricity, this prison now, as we specialize in agriculture and livestock keeping, will be able to start up a small factory so that we can add value to our farm produce. Luckily, Geita Urban is to be supplied with electricity, but still for only some parts.
And that is the end of national news. International news follows next. And in international news, With the issue of preparations of opinion polls so as to make changes in the Kenyan constitution continuing to gain strength, President Uhuru Kenyatta has now shown to be supporting the polls, stating that it is necessary for all Kenyans to be involved without considering political affiliations so as to bring about unity in Kenya.
There are problems in corruption. Let us make reforms in these sensitive areas to unite this nation as Kenyans. We must pay attention to administrative issues to make sure that not any Kenyan will be left out. Our aim is to develop our nation to higher levels.
The Army Court in Beni has sentenced to 3 months, 6 months and 3 years in jail police officers who were involved in the misuse of their guns by firing them to demand their salary arrears.
They've been charged and punished. I commend the court for its judicial decision. It will be a good example for other officers not to conduct such malpractices. And those responsible in providing salaries from now onwards, they need to fulfill their obligations properly, otherwise they will put citizens' rights at risk. We're happy with the decisions made by the court. This will definitely raise more awareness to police officers in Beni not to overlook their responsibilities and boundaries.
The government of Burundi, through the Ministry of Environment, Agriculture and Livestock Keeping in cooperation with the United Nations Development Programme UNDP, has initiated activities to fight against soil erosion in rivers, a situation that leads to the collapse of houses and buildings.
When rivers are not taken care of, they affect the environment, our health and the constructions, and that is what is happening at Ndahangwa River. A school and church were in danger. However, as the government, we are ready to protect residents living around this river.
The exercise to demolish infrastructure built in valleys, including business buildings as well as residential ones, have continued for the second day, with the leadership of Nyarugenge district in Kigali overseeing the exercise to ensure it is not halted.
Where will I go to? Has Kigali prepared a place for me to stay? Me and my family, with the orphans that I live with? The authorities did inform us, but it was not an official notice. I have been living here for so many years. Today, they are chasing us from here simply because we are living at valleys. This is not right. When we informed them earlier on, they didn't pay attention. How come they are surprised today? I have decided to come and supervise the operation so that we can succeed without any interference.
The government's move to dismiss managers of MTN company that is owned by investors from South Africa has continued to draw intense reactions from many who have concern for the relationship between the government and the company, which has high share prices as well as significant number of mobile customers in Uganda.
All organizations in the country have the responsibility.
All organizations in the country have responsibility to do what they are responsible for with regards to guidelines and the laws. If any entity is found to be going contrary to the regulations, law will take its course.
We are aware there is an investigation.
In the special report between Capital Television's Vanessa Victor and Deutsche Welle correspondent Peter Dahl, they discussed the Deutsche Welle Freedom of Speech Award as well as this year's recipient.
This Freedom of Speech Award recognizes a person or an initiative that is distinguished in its advocacy for human rights as well as freedom of speech. In 2015, an imprisoned Saudi blogger, Raif Badawi, was the first recipient of the prize. In 2017, the award went to White House Correspondents Association, WHCA, in Washington, D.C. And last year, the award went to an Iranian, Sadegh Saleh Zibakalam, one of the most recognized political analysts in Iran, who was sentenced to 18 months in prison after criticizing the Iranian government in an interview with DW about unrest in the country. With us is our correspondent from Deutsche Welle with more on this. That's Peter Dahl. Peter, welcome. And who is this year's recipient, and why was the recipient chosen?
This year's winner is Mexican investigative journalist Anabel Hernandez. And she's special because she's the first woman ever to receive the DW Freedom of Speech Award. Hernandez has earned the award for her daring reporting on two of the biggest challenges facing Mexico: the drug cartels and political corruption. In Mexico, this is something that can literally get you killed, and many have been. Last year alone, at least 9 journalists were murdered, making Mexico the 3rd deadliest country in the world for journalists. Even so, though, Hernandez has continued to shine a light on some of Mexico's darkest secrets, and most recently, she exposed links between Mexican government officials and the leading drug cartels in that country when she investigated the disappearance and murder of 43 students from the city of Iguala some 5 years ago. You may remember that story. Because of her reporting, Hernandez and her children have been forced into exile. They have to have around-the-clock protection. So she is well worthy of that award.
So, Peter, why is this particular award necessary?
Well, the sad truth is that in many places, freedom of expression is under threat like we haven't seen in a very long time. Just last year, Reporters Without Borders, which releases the annual World Press Freedom Index, warned of a quote-unquote growing climate of hate towards the media. It warned that this is no longer just limited to authoritarian regimes like, for instance, Saudi Arabia. It's also in full display in many democracies, maybe most prominently in the U.S. under President Donald Trump. And in fact, and perhaps most surprisingly, at least to me, was to find out that in Europe, the region where press freedom is generally the safest, the indicators have worsened most in recent years. This is true of places like Hungary and Poland, where the rise of right-wing leaders has led to a clampdown on the free media, but also right here in Germany. Journalists have increasingly come under attack in recent years, especially from right-wing groups. So all the more reason that we need awards like this to raise awareness of the importance of freedom of expression and honor the value of a free press.
Apart from the recognition that they get for their work, as well as the accolades, of course, what else do the recipients get?
Well, that is that there is no money prize. This is all about the honor and the glory, but this is also about sending a signal to journalists around the world who often go out on these really dangerous missions on their own and risking their lives, that we're behind them, that the community of journalists and DW in Germany are really behind these journalists and supporting and very much appreciating the work that they do and the risks that they take.
For an award that's been going on since 2015, do you think that it has had a significant impact with the journalist community?
I think this is definitely one of the, like I said, there is no money involved, so this is all about the laurels. And whether or not this has a significant impact, I think this is a boost. This is a clear signal that what they are doing is right, and that they, by all means, should continue to do that, and that they're not alone. So yes, absolutely, I think this is a prize that that comes with it's a big recognition of the work that they do. Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Peter, and congratulations to this year's recipient, Anabel Hernandez.
I'll pass it on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that is the end of international news. Business news follows shortly after the break. We'll be right back.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
To be rich, I have to be a business person.
It's not an easy road at all.
People need to understand you must
quickly think, how cost effective are you going to be?
Business acts as a way in which it can bridge that gap.
Business Edition will keep you informed on latest developments in the financial sector, extractive industry, tourism, agriculture, energy, construction, and so much more. Meet entrepreneurs who create employment opportunities. Watch Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
Welcome back, and in business news tonight. Mobile telecommunications company Airtel has launched a double data Smartica promotion which allows for Airtel customers to get twice the internet bundles they purchase through Airtel Money.
Kienda kwenye vifurushi vya internet, akipiga nyota 149.
When a customer goes to internet package, they can choose special packages and select double data Smartica. They will get a chance to double the package that they used to get before. With 2,000, a customer will get 2 GB for 3 days.
Double data offer yetu ya double data na Smartica.
Double data Smartica offer has been launched today, and customers can enjoy using their internet package of 2 GBs for 3 days.
Unanunua GB moja kwa shilingi 2,000 na inadumu kwa siku 3.
Officers of Tanzania Revenue Authority TRA have conducted a surprise exercise to inspect the uses of EFDs, where they have discovered that there are many EFD machines that are not used in Kinondoni tax region.
Hilo tumeligundua kwamba wafanyabiashara wengi wana mashine kwa maduka ambayo tumepita.
We have found out that most shops have the EFD machines, but they do not use them effectively. But we have reminded them to fulfill this government directive. We have promised traders that after this visit, follow-ups on issuing receipts to customers will continue.
The
good thing is that they don't just come to arrest people, but rather they have initiated into providing traders with knowledge. Then legal measures will be addressed later.
And that is the end of business news. Sports news follows next.
Hi, my name is Kotaro Tokuda.
What's up? My name is Sean Garnier.
Hop, hip it, the hip it, the hip, hip, hop it, don't stop the rockin' to the bang, bang boogie, say up, jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. Now watch you here.
I'm watching Sports Gazette.
I'm watching Sport Gazette.
I'm here watching Sports Gazette.
With Sebastian.
With Sebastian. Peace out.
Yes! And you can also watch Sports Gazette for highlights and interviews regarding sports. Do not miss Sports Gazette every Wednesday at 7 p.m. only on Capital Television.
Welcome back, and in sports news. Young African Sports Club have for the first time won a Premier League game against Mbao FC at the CCM Kirumba Stadium with 2-1 comeback in the second half. The Jangwani club conceded early on through Endaki Robert Herida before Heritia Makambo equalized and Hamis Tambwe put them ahead from the penalty spot. The win keeps Yanga at the top of the table with 61 points, while Mbao FC remains 60th with 36 points. The national under-19 cricket team will be the only Tanzanian representative in international competitions in cricket this year when they participate in the African Championship scheduled to take place from 14th to 24th of March this year.
This competition, it's an ICC Africa Division 1 qualifier to the World Cup, because in ICC ranking there is a division from national team to under-19. So in under-19 there is a qualifiers this year, which is 2 teams from Africa. They are going to go for the World League, which is a World Cup happening next year. So we have a database which we have almost like 200 coaches here in Tanzania. So every year we send 2, 3, 4 to South Africa or whatever we can do in order for them to learn and get more knowledge of cricket.
Liverpool's goalless Champions League last 16 first leg draw against Bayern Munich is not a dream result, but a good one, says manager Jurgen Klopp. Here's more on the story.
13th of March, knowing a score draw will take them into the quarterfinals on away goals. Only Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane managed shots on target for Liverpool. I'm not over the moon, but I'm completely okay with the game, said Klopp after last night's match. Liverpool named Joe Matip and Fabinho in a makeshift central defense, with Virgil van Dijk suspended and Dejan Lovren and Joe Gomez injured.
Unified world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua insists a future meeting with WBC champion Deontay Wilder or fellow Brighton Tyson Fury will not be held up by television companies. Here's more on the story.
Joshua, Wilder and Fury are now signed to rival U.S. broadcasters, making future negotiations arguably more difficult. Broadcasters are a platform to make our dreams come true, Joshua said. Joshua will fight in the U.S. for the first time when he defends his IBF, WBA and WBO titles against Jarrell Miller. The pair will meet in New York on 1st of June at the iconic Madison Square Garden, also the site of Tuesday's news conference.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin for tonight. My name is Khadija Zimbwe. Thank you for watching and good night.
Habari za wakati huu, mtazamaji wetu wa ITV popote pale ulipo, karibu sana katika kipindi cha dakika 45 pamoja na msikilizaji wa Radio 1. Jina langu naitwa Benjamin Mzinga. Kipindi hiki cha dakika 45 leo tunaye mgeni wetu ambaye ni mkurugenzi mtendaji wa tume ya kudhibiti ukimwi Tanzania Capitaltvtz, Dr. Leonard Maboko, ambaye tuko naye hapa kuzungumzia yale ambayo yanahusiana na tume hii ya kudhibiti